Learning another language delay my child's speech. This is one of the biggest, baddest myths around bilingualism. And the answer is a resounding no. That doesn't mean that children who are bilingual or learning more than one language never have a language delay. It just means that the cause of their language delay is not likely to be the exposure to more than one language. A bilingual toddler still might mix up parts of words from one language and another, and that mixing of languages might make it harder for you or someone else to understand your child, but it's not a reflection of atypical or delayed development. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of cognitive advantages to bilingualism, so it's not really contributing to delays, and in fact contributes to better brain development and better brain architecture. And there's also mutual benefits between learning languages simultaneously. So as you learn one language, your first language, it paves the way for you to learn a second language. And learning that second language helps you to continue to learn and refine the learning of your first language. So in short, if your child happens to have a speech delay, it's likely not due to learning more than one language at a time. Will speaking 2 or 3 languages confuse or overwhelm my child? This one is related to the previous question, but slightly different. And my answer to this one is another no, but. And the reason I say this is because children's brains early on are very capable of learning multiple languages at the same time. But there are ways that you can expose them to the language so that it will go a little bit more smoothly. And we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end or next time I come on. I do want to mention that some bilingual children mix grammar rules. Like I said, they mix languages and they mix grammar rules, and they might code switch where they use words from both languages at the same time or within a phrase or a sentence, like más milk or quiero más milk, more milk, I want more milk, mixing English and Spanish. This is normal part of bilingual language development, and it doesn't mean that your child is confused. If your child starts with bilingual exposure in infancy, by 4 or 5, they're able to tell the differences between the language, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to code switch. It still might happen, and that's okay. It's not wrong. There's a lot of research to suggest that it's an effective means of communication. And I'll use myself as an example. My first language is Spanish, but at this point, I consider myself to be more fluent in English because my formal education was in English. And I still code switch at times. There are some words that I just feel more in Spanish, so I use them. And I particularly use some code switching when I'm having informal conversations or while I'm texting with my family or friends.